I don't know what these muscles are called, but I've been swinging and punching, and I feel like I have muscles there now because of Batman Arkham Shadow. I've been doing so much of this, I've been punching bad guys in the face. I knew that Camouflaj team was special, but they really did it. They made a dream come true. They let us become the Dark Knight with Batman Arkham Shadow. I've been playing this on the MetaQuest 3, and this is a game that you can pick up for the system if you already have it, but if you buy a new 3 or a 3S, you get it, which is an incredible pack-in. One of the best pack-ins in video game history, as a matter of fact. And I'm going to underline that word, video game, because I think the greatest success about Arkham Shadow is that it feels less like a very competent VR demo, which it is, which every VR game has to be, because it's always this idea of complete immersion into a different reality, and there's always training wheels on these experiences, and there certainly is that in Arkham Shadow, but it also is beautifully aligned with the rest of the Arkham games. Of course, there's lots of little teases and connections and threads that you will recognize from previous Arkham adventures, which is wonderful, but it also feels like the previous Arkham games. They really were able to nail the idea of this surrounded by a pack of goons combat, and that is really something to be commended, because that couldn't have been an easy thing to do. Now, Camouflaj kind of showed their talents with the Iron Man VR game, which is still one of my favorite VR games that I've played so far, and they gave us a good idea of what it felt like to fly around in the suit. They did a great job with that game. And they also gave us some great connective comic book story items and things like that in Iron Man as well. So they learned how to do this with Iron Man, but they've excelled with how to do this with Batman Arkham Shadow. And being able to bounce back and forth, punch a bad guy, dodge a bad guy, use your cape to kind of confuse a bad guy, jump up in the air, slam a bad guy, use your batarangs or your grappling hook or some of the other gadgets, the explosive gel or whatever. You've got all of these different ways to take down all of these idiots that are trying to fight the Batman. Bad move. Don't try to fight the Batman. And it's so much freaking fun. It's also, because it's VR, a pretty freaking amazing workout. I don't know what these muscles are called, but I've been swinging and punching, and I feel like I have muscles there now because of Batman Arkham Shadow. I've been doing so much of this. I've been punching bad guys in the face and punching them up in the air and slamming them down, and it's freaking crazy fun. But there is some physical exertion in this enterprise. You are going to have to get up off your ass, and you're going to have to move around, and you're going to try not to punch the wall very hard. I came close. Oh my goodness, I came close a couple of times, and I'm thankful that I did not, because at least when I'm playing, I'm swinging full force. You know, admittedly, I'm a video game reviewer, so that force, I don't know how much damage it would do to somebody else, but it would do some damage to me if I punched the wall. I didn't do that, thank goodness. But the combat, as cool as it is, I don't think it's my favorite part of the game. And my favorite part of the game is also one of the issues that I have with the game, because you spend a lot of time, like in all the Arkham titles, sort of getting lost in this story, and the story is about this Rat King that has begun to terrorize Gotham City, and Batman has to go undercover to try to figure out who this character is, and he's got all kinds of allies. And like Arkham Asylum, and a little bit like in Arkham City, you infiltrate an institution, and you have to be a different person, and in this case, it's an alias that Batman has cultivated over the years called Matches Malone, which is a great connection to lots of fantastic Batman lore. I don't know if Matches Malone, I should have read about this. That character might have started in the 70s with Neil Adams, who is my favorite Batman artist. I have a feeling that's around when it came. Denny O'Neil, Neil Adams. Anyways, you guys will correct me in the comments below. But you go undercover in this prison, Blackgate Prison, and you have to sneak around inside of vents, and you have to use your detective vision to solve some puzzles, but you also get into a lot of conversations. You're going to meet lots of characters that you know across the Batman lore, and you're going to sit there and have these combos where you're going to stand there, and that's my issue. I don't know how you could play this sitting down. I guess you could. I didn't even try. I mean, I knew I was going to be punching everybody. So I was standing playing this game, and man, this is going to sound like whining, but I was standing playing this game, and getting into all the fights and using the grapple to sort of swing to different ledges and becoming the Predator, because you can do the Predator mode and sneak up on different bad guys too, which is all cool. But you also get into these conversations, and sometimes they go on, and you want them. That's the meat of the game. That is the story that you're experiencing here. You're sort of getting the whole history of these very cool moments and these informative moments with characters from Batman lore. You want that. That's the gold, man. But you're standing there, and I'm like leaning on both, my haunches, and I'm just like, okay, when do we start swinging around again? And you're just standing for long conversation pieces, and there are a couple times in the game where you are sitting in the game, but you are standing. And I was like, oh man, I would love to take a seat, but you can't just carefully and easily just move a chair into your VR environment, because if you forget where it is, you're going to trip over it. So I was standing, and I was just, I guess the lazy gamer in me was just like, okay, let's go. And you can skip the dialogue stuff, but you don't want to, because it's gold. And the developers labored over all of these very cool moments that you have, these interactions with all these awesome characters, and you want that. That's what makes this thing so damn special. That's what makes this video game feel like a real video game. It doesn't just feel like some awesome, VR amusement park ride or something like that. You feel like Batman. Even looking at the gauntlets that Batman has, and then augmenting them with, of course, the shock gauntlets and stuff like that. You just feel like the character. And I think it's exemplified, as the name suggests, every time you see the shadow of your bat ears as you're using your cape to glide to a platform, and you see yourself on the ground below, and you freaking are Batman. It's amazing. It's an incredible illusion, and it's so freaking satisfying. I feel like some of the detective stuff is a little bit thinner than I would like it to go. Like, it does sort of handhold you a little bit too much, but I love that it's in there. I love that there is this deducing things. It's definitely a connection, I think, to the gameplay of the underappreciated Arkham Origins, and it's great to hear Roger Craig Smith. He does an amazing job as Batman. In fact, all of the other voice actors are incredible in this. I'm not even going to talk about who else is in this game, because there are a few little spoilers in there. This was an absolutely exquisite experience for me. I felt so proud of my friend Ryan Payton, who I've known forever and ever. We worked together for the first time on the making of Metal Gear Solid 4, and just to watch him go off and start this game studio and really become this sort of figurehead, this leader in making VR video game experiences. This is the most fun I've had in VR in a game, for sure. There are definitely some things that I've played, like I love space shooters in VR, and there's, of course, Half-Life Alyx and stuff, but this, it's my language. It's speaking to me. It's my boy. It's Batman. I mean, this is so unbelievable. There are a couple of janky, buggy type moments in there. Sometimes the processor's having a little bit of a tough time keeping up with all of the activity, and things will chunk into place. That's a little disconcerting. Sometimes the audio will clip out for a little bit. That bugged me as well. I know that the team is all over this. I know that it's going to continue to get patched. I also know that the MetaQuest 3 and 3S is really competent hardware, but it's kind of advanced mobile processing engineering, as opposed to something coming off of a real high-end PC or something. And therein lies my other complaint with this. This game is so good and so, I think, going to be so influential for the medium of VR and video games that it's a real crying shame that it's a locked-up exclusive to these platforms. It's an excellent get for MetaQuest, and Meta owns the Camouflaj team, and no doubt they're probably working on a sequel, or man, I would love to see these guys work on a Daredevil game. There's so many other things that they are capable of. I would love more Batman Arkham in VR. I think it's fantastic, but I also would love to see this game on other platforms and available to more people. I think locking these games up in any kind of an exclusive way, when the overall footprint of people that have VR headsets to be able to play games like this on is quite small still. It's still a burgeoning community. But if you are lucky enough to have a MetaQuest 3 or a MetaQuest 3S, this is essential. This is absolutely the most fun that I've had on this device, and kudos to everybody involved. You've made something incredible, indelible, and unforgettable. I'm going to give Batman Arkham Shadow a 9.5 out of 10.